Hello, everybody. Welcome. Thank you for stopping by. This is Urban Swell Stories, and today we're diving into the month of March, the things we need to seed start, the things we can direct sow outdoors, and garden chores. Because the month of March is when garden season begins, and we want to make sure we're ready and prepared to start our spring garden. So we're gonna jump on in and start with what we need to do in the garden before we can even think about seed starting or direct sowing. So let's get started. So the first thing we want to do is prep our garden beds, our containers, and our in-ground beds for any crops that overwintered, anything that dried up. We want to remove them. And so the best way I go about removing crops that had died or dried up, you want to go to the base of that crop and cut it, leaving the roots in the soil to break down and feed back your soil. Because the most important thing in gardening is your soil and not what you are growing. Because the soil is what is going to feed that seed so that it can give you a healthy harvest. So we want to go ahead and remove all that debris, remove any trash, any leaves, pull back the mulch so that way we can prepare our soil. And so the next thing that we want to do is removing any weeds that's in your garden. So if you're in a container, you might not have to worry about that. I still do because above my garden outdoor, there is a tree, and sometimes when the leaves fall in, it can cause weeds to come up, or from the birds that fly all over, maybe they drop some seeds, and then that can cause weeds as well. So regardless of whether you're in ground or in a container or in a raised bed, you want to double check your soil to make sure there's no weeds growing in there, because when you go to amend the soil, you're basically going to feed the weeds and they're going to grow even bigger and stronger. So get rid of the weeds, get rid of the overwintered crops and the dried up crops. Get rid of them all. And then we move on into amending our soil. So to amend your soil, you either can use compost or you can use granulate fertilizer, depending on what you have available. For me, I'll be doing a mixture of granulate fertilizer and compost. Also, side note, check your garden to make sure that you have everything you need for the upcoming spring garden season, such as your compost, your fertilizer, your liquid, and your granulate fertilizer. Check your seed packets to see what you have available or what you need, because this would be the perfect time to go out and purchase them or to order them so that way you have them. It's when your soil is workable and the weather warms up. You don't want to wait until it gets warm to get those things, because there's a chance it might be out of what you typically would want, or the variety that you need, or the brand that you prefer. So I would say the earlier the better to stock up on all the garden supplies and tools you need. And also, if you are a budget gardener, then you want to check out Dollar Tree. There are a lot of tools and seeds available at a great cost, or you can check your big box store, up to your preference, or your local nursery. As for seeds, you can check out your local library, and they might have a garden section where you can swap seeds or pick up any seeds that they have available. And if you have any community garden out there, you can even stop by and see if they would give you compost. So you never know until you ask or check out the resources that are out there and available just by searching it up and giving them a call, or just going out in person and asking them yourself. Back to what we need to do seed wise. I'm going to start off with what I'm going to start sowing indoor. Then I'm going to go into what needs to be transplanted outdoor. Then I'm going to go into what we can direct sow outdoor. And again, I am growing in zone 7B. So if you are something warmer or colder, check your growing zone and for your expected last frost date, and then you can go accordingly from that. And so we're going to jump on in to what I'm going to be seed starting this month of March. So the first thing I have are fruits. With these fruits, I'm starting them indoor because it's going to save some time to seed start them, so that when the weather is to their preference, I will transplant them outdoor versus direct sowing outdoor. When the time comes, then I would have basically lose a month or so that I could have started them indoor to get harvest a bit sooner. So that's why I'm going to go ahead and seed start indoor. And also, if anything happens with the seeds, then I have a chance to direct sow outdoor. So there's no loss in seed starting indoor, especially if you have the resource or the means to do so. If you don't have a grow station like the one behind me, then you can make your own DIY version. Or if you have a south facing windowsill, then you can go ahead and use that as well. And just be mindful that you don't want the seeds to get leggy, so you want to make sure there's a fan available as well. Back to the seeds that I'll be starting this month in March. So the first thing I'm going to start off with are my tomatoes. I just have two because these ones are a lot quicker in the maturity rate versus the one I started in the month of February. So if you haven't started your tomatoes already, you can start them this month because there's also some tomatoes that I'm going to be starting in this month. And the first one is cherry fall tomato. It's a determinate variety. So basically, this will be great for hanging baskets or any kind of containers that you have. This I'll be growing in my green stock. The next one I have is 42-day tomato. So this one, it's supposed to give you a harvest in 42 days. And so the next set of seeds I'll be starting indoor, and it's my first time growing it, and it's Aunt Molly's ground cherry tomatoes. So it's supposed to have like a sweetish taste. So I'm looking forward to that sweet taste. And this is an indeterminate variety. So this is going to definitely need some support, which I do have. So I'm looking forward to growing and trying this. And it's ground cherry because once it's time to be harvested, it would drop to the floor. So basically you're harvesting from the floor and not from the plant itself. Stay tuned for the ground cherries. I'm looking forward to trying these. And so the next and the last fruiting crops I have are my cucumbers. And this is a new one to my seed collection. It's the Be It Alpha cucumber, and this is a parthenocarpic cucumber, meaning it's only female and it's self-pollinating. So basically, having only female flowers increases the chance of getting even more cucumbers versus other variety that has a male flower and a female flower. This one only produces female flowers. So I'm looking forward to trying this one. And for my container growers and my small space growers, I do have one for you guys as well. And this is the Space Master 80. This one is the variety that would have the male and the female flowers separate. So this one is container friendly. I have grown this before and I really liked growing it because I planted this one in my green stock and then I used the ring trellis support to train it to go around and around the green stock, and it was successful. I did overdo it a little bit, putting too much on the one tier. So the next time I grow this, I'm only going to do one and then succession sow at a later time. So that way it will have enough room to go around and give me even more compared to last time. And so that is all I have for my fruiting crop that I will be starting indoor this month in the month of March. And so following up with that, I do have flowers, and the only one that I'll be starting indoor are my French marigolds. This is a blend that I got from Botanical Interest. So I'm gonna show you the full packet. So this is a French marigold blend, and with marigolds, you want to get French marigolds. This is the one that will help deter pests, not the African marigolds. That's something totally different. The French marigold is what's going to attract the beneficial insects and the pollinators, especially the bees. It attracts so much bees because last summer I had so many bees, so many. And it was great because I had a cucumber arch and I planted a lot of tomatoes and also have strawberries outside. So having French marigolds was very beneficial. So I will be starting some indoor this month in March as well. So when it comes to having a garden, you want protection, and one of the best way to have organic protection would be flowers, especially French marigold. It's one of those universal flowers that the scent alone deters some pests, and the flowers itself draw in the pollinators. So you definitely want to always have some sort of flowers that's going to help you protect your garden. because we can't watch it all the time. So we need something that's going to be there to be some sort of defense. And so speaking of defending your plants, I also have another one. It's Sweet Alyssum. It's the Tiny Tim variety. Again, this is also attract pollinators and it will help deter pests as well. Not only flowers that are beneficial, but herbs as well are also beneficial for your garden. So that's the next thing that we're gonna go into. And so with herbs, what I would recommend is putting them on the border of your container or raised bed, and you can always interplant some in between, but the border is the best way I recommend going about planting your herbs, because it takes up very few space. Unless you want a large amount, then you can plant even more, but having on the outer edges is one of the great way to protect what's in the middle. So then I'm going to start off with chives. Chives is has that onion scent, and there are pests out there that does not like the onion scent. So having this in your garden is beneficial and also can be used in your cooking as well. So we have chives, and if you let it go to flower, then it would be beneficial for the pollinators as well. And so the next thing is bunching onions. So this also the scent of the onions. There are many pests out there that do not like the scent of onions. So having onions in your garden is very beneficial, especially for your leafy greens and your brassicas, that you have the caterpillars and all these different things that want to eat your leafy greens. Having onions near them is super beneficial, and it will help minimize the damage. Some damage is expected because when you're organically growing your own food, insects are naturally going to want to eat it. And if there's nothing eating it, it's a sign that you're doing something wrong. But having barriers of protection is going to minimize that damage, so that way you can still have a harvest in the end. So definitely include some onions in your garden and flowers. And so the next set of herbs I have is cilantro. Cilantro surprisingly likes the cool temperatures, so it's better to sow them when the temperature is still cool versus when it's hot. It is more likely to bolt that way. But I have a slow bolt variety which will minimize how quickly they're likely to bolt. So I have this one, and then the next set of herbs are I have is dill. Dill is also great at deterring pests. Most herbs, if not all of them, have some sort of beneficial compound to it where it will deter pests. So it's great to have as much in there as possible, especially the ones you use in your kitchen to cook. And the last one I have is parsley. That is all I have for the herbs and for my flowers and for what I'll be starting indoor. So we're going to move on to the root crops. So the root crops are the ones that basically grow down into the soil. And for that, I have just a few of them that I recommend growing this month of March. And with the rooting crops, more times they're the ones that don't want their roots to be disturbed, because then they can stunt their growth and also prevent them from growing. So what we're going to do is direct sow them all outdoors, and they're all cold tolerant, which is what we like because we're still in the month of March. So we're tapering off from the winter into spring. So we're still going to have nights where it's going to be cold. So what you would do, just put a frost cloth over your container, over your raised bed, or whatever growing container that you're using. Just cover the frost cloth, and once the temperature is to their liking, then they will go ahead and germinate. And so we're going to start off with beets. So the only beets I have is the Ruby Queen beets. That's the only one I have. There are many varieties out there, but it's just an example. And so for beets, it is a cluster of seeds, which basically means that one seed that you're seeing is actually a cluster of them. So you're more likely to get a few seedlings once you direct sow them outdoor, or if you choose to indoor start them, then you can go ahead and do that as well. And then once it is at a level of where it needs to be transplanted, you can transplant them outdoor. But if you're direct sowing them outdoor, then you want to make sure that you either keep them in a cluster or you carefully uproot some of them and transplant them elsewhere. The good thing about beets is if you leave them in that cluster, as they grow, they will push each other apart. The next set of rooting crops I have are carrots. Carrots is one of those things that definitely do not want to be disturbed whatsoever. So I highly recommend direct sowing them. So the two that I have are Littlefinger, and I have the red cord chutney, and both of them I got from Botanical Interest. The roots don't want to be disturbed, so just direct sow them outdoor, but also you want to make sure the seeds remain moist because that's what's going to aid in their germination. If you dry out the seeds, then the most likely it won't give you a germination. So definitely try to keep the seeds moist as possible. Let me know in the comments if you have grown carrots before, what tricks do you use to make sure the carrot stays moist? I use a cardboard. Let me know what you guys use in the comments for the community so we can all have different ways so we can get a harvest for carrots this spring. The last rooting crops I have are radishes. Radishes, I have quite a few, but I'll start with the most easiest one, and that is the Easter egg blend. This one, it gives you a variety of radishes, so you can try many of them depending on what germinates and what gives you a harvest. So this one, and then my other go-to are the French breakfast. I also have early scarlet glow, which basically gives you a little bit of an earlier harvest compared to the others I've listed so far. And then I have cherry bell radish. So that's all I have for the rooting crop. The next thing we're gonna go into are the peas. I only have two that I'll be starting this month in March. In next month, we have a quite few more that we're gonna be starting. But in the month of March, especially in the month of March, you want to do sugar snap peas. This one I got from Gardenery. So sugar snap peas likes the cool temperatures. And what I'll be doing with these, I'll grow them up the arch that I have, and then once it's time for the tomatoes to go out, I'll transplant those out there, and once they get to a certain height, then I'll pull the sugar snap peas off the trellis. That way I'm not wasting space. So I'll be getting a harvest of sugar snap peas, and also I'll be able to do my tomatoes as well. So I'm not wasting growing space. And so the next thing I have are light red kidney beans. I've never grown kidney beans, though I love eating them. I've never grown them. So I'm looking forward to trying these for the first time. So stay tuned on the progress of the beans. So next we're going to go into our leafy greens, and I do have quite a few, are my rainbow Swiss charts. So Swiss charts is another one of those seeds that give a cluster of seeds for each seed that you see in the packet. So again, this, like the beets, these produce a cluster of seeds. So basically, once you direct sow them, or if you start them indoors, they will germinate several seedlings. So those, just to take your time and carefully uproot them and transplant them to your desired location. So I'm going to be doing Swiss chard. I'm going to start them indoor, but also I do have one growing right now that I'll be transplanting outdoor as well. And again, Swiss chard is cold tolerant, so it will tolerate the cold. And it's one of those biennials, meaning it wants to stay in your garden for at least 2 years. It can stay there longer if you take care of it and cover it and protect it depending on the weather. The next set of crops that I'll be doing are my kale. So with kale, I also started a few. I do have a few behind me. There's one right here. This is the dwarf blue curled kale. So we'll start with that one first. I got that one from Botanical Interest. And so this one, I'm going to be starting some outdoor, even though I started a few indoor. And in this month, I'm going to start them and transplant the few that I have here in the coming week. And so with kale, it is very cold hardy and it can tolerate the heat as well. So I'm gonna go through the list of kales that I have, and I will be also starting indoor. That I will be also be starting outdoor. So one kale. So this kale is the Red Russian. I got this one from the Rusted Garden. And the next one I have is Scarlet Kale. And then the last one I have is a dinosaur kale. I haven't grown any outdoor. I do have a few indoor from my kale mix. So I like them, so I went ahead and bought specific dinosaur kale seeds. So I'll be starting these outdoor as well. Let me know in the comments if you've tried kale, which variety is one of your favorite, especially if you're a gardener. Which variety have you grown that you have preferred over the other, if you do have a preference, or which kale seeds have you tried so far that you really enjoy and looking forward to growing in the upcoming spring season? Because I do have quite a few and I really enjoy kale and I'm looking forward to growing them again. So I have quite a few variety. So drop it in the comments. What's your favorite kale variety? And so the last but not least, the last but not least are my lettuces. If you have been around before, then you know my lettuce seed collection is quite vast. It's the largest of all my seeds. My most go-to is the lettuce mix because you get a mixture of everything. It's one of the go-to I would recommend for someone who's just starting out and want to try a little bit of everything. A lettuce mix is the way to go. So just do a quick rapid list of what I currently have for the lettuces that I'll be starting outdoor this month. First we have is black-seeded Simpson. We have the super red romaine lettuce, ruby red leaf lettuce, salad bowl lettuce blend. This one I got from Greenstock as a gift for purchasing products from them. And I have a little gem butterhead, Tom Thumb Dwarf Bib, another Merlot lettuce. This is from Baker Creek. Slow bolt lettuce leaf. This is the leafy one. So if you're going to do cut and come again, you want to do the leaf variety. Marvel Four Season Head. This is the head lettuce. Grand Rapid leaf lettuce. And that's it. So that's all the seeds I'll be starting this month in the month of March. It's quite a lot, but March is the perfect time to get the garden going, get it all started and bringing a lot of life into your garden, because the month of March is when the beginning of spring comes, when you can start with the cool weather crops, but also prepare for the summer and prepare for the warm weather crops. There's a lot of things going on in the month of March. So thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe for more content. There's more to come because spring season has only just begun. So thank you so much for stopping by.